A very pleasant evening to you out there. Thank you for joining us on another edition of the program National Talk on ECWA Television International. My name is Joyce Jakada. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at ECWA Television International. Tonight on National Talk, we shall be beaming our light on the odyssey of the Nigerian uterus, together with Professor Amaka Ngozi Ocheke, Professor of Obstetrics and Gynecology of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, University of Jos. We shall be beaming our lights on that. You can do well to join the conversation by dropping your comments and questions as well on our YouTube channel as well as Facebook at ECWA Television International. Good evening and welcome to National Talk.
Good evening and thank you for having me here.
It feels good to have you. Like before we started, I was saying I was really happy. I have a woman today with me, and I'm very sure our guests as well and our viewers will be, oh, I'm happy. and outside the usual, talking about politics, policies, and all of that, today we're looking at health issues, because this is one area that affects everybody. And you agree with me, without health, we can't boast of anything, because you have to be alive, you have to be healthy to talk about growth and development. You recently presented a lecture, inaugural lecture at the University of Jos, titled The Odyssey of the Nigerian Uterus, Bombs, Potholes, and then Accidents. And I was just thinking to myself, oh, the journey. So there's actually a journey attached to the to the uterus. So I'll just like you to just give us an overview. By the way, congratulations for that great presentation. And it created a lot of awareness. A lot of people were, their minds were open to issues they'd never even thought of, especially as regard myths attached to some health condition. So I'll just like to get an overview. Tell us about the uterus and the journey.
Okay, when we talk about the uterus is the layman's term, is the womb.
Okay.
Yes, and it's located in the pelvis, like the lower part of the trunk,
okay,
if you look at it like that. And it's situated somewhere between the bladder in front and the intestines behind, the rectum behind. So it's in a very important position. And it has a lot of work that it does. Menstruation, and it's the place where the baby stays when women get pregnant. And then when it's also time for the baby to come out, it's also what pushes the baby out into the world. So it's a very important organ in the body. And talking about its odyssey, when we talk about odyssey, it means journey, an eventful journey. The uterus undergoes a journey. When we look at it, how it develops from its early phase of development to the time when it grows to become active, that's ready to carry pregnancies, ready to menstruate, and then down to old age, menopause, and then when it dies, when the person carrying it now dies. Not that the uterus dies on its own, but when whoever carries it dies, then its job is done and it's gone. So it goes through a lot, and different disease conditions happen to it in the process. And some of these disease conditions, and even the regular job of pregnancy, is not strange to the women in Nigeria. It's something that happens in other countries. Unfortunately, the women in Nigeria, or the uterus in Nigeria, now has complications because of the healthcare system, the lack of information people have. They make poor health choices, and then we have poor health outcomes. Those are what we refer to as the bumps, the potholes, and then the accidents, because sometimes people even outrightly die from those choices or those things that happen to them because of the environment we live in. So I think that's
a great overview. Listening to you, like I said earlier, and I was thinking, so the uterus go through a journey, but having taking note of the lecture, and I was privileged to be there, I understood that there are levels to the journey. It starts from the embryonic development down to the menopause. And all these are stages that it passes through. And I just want to quickly talk about, I know in the title of the presentation, it's the Odyssey of the Nigerian uterus. So there's actually specification, like, so that it can be peculiar to the environment. So how can environment affect this journey?
Okay, I'd like to look at it in stages. Now, the things that could affect the journey can start from the individual, herself, and her environment. So issues of education, female empowerment, those things, and then the people around her, maybe husband and all that, will determine when a woman will decide to seek for help if she has a problem, or if she would even decide to seek for help at all. Those things affect. So sometimes people don't seek for help because they don't know there's even a problem. Like I've had, there's a lady, a patient we had some years back, mature, an elderly woman. She was bleeding, she was having vaginal bleeding, and she didn't tell her children. By the time they came, it was an advanced cancer. And I asked, I said, Mama, why didn't you say early that this was the problem? She said she was ashamed. How do you tell your children when you have already stopped menstruating, you tell them again you have started menstruating? So she was ashamed, she didn't know how to go about it. But if she had the information and knew that, look, when a woman who has stopped menstruating starts menstruating, it's a problem. You need to seek help. Then she should have done that. So people don't even have the right information, or the information they have is incorrect, you know. So that affects whether they would seek help or not. Then some people want to seek help, but they don't have the money. You know, to get to the hospital, you need to pay transport fare. Some people don't even have transport fare. Then even hospital bills, some people can't pay hospital bills. So that's also part of the problem when women are not empowered. Then also who they live with. Some women live in environments or in marriages where they can't take decisions for themselves to go to hospital. Your husband or your father has to give you permission to go to hospital. And if they say no, you can't. You know, I've had people who come later. Why did you come? You know, you didn't start early. Say my husband didn't permit me. My husband traveled. My in-laws said I can't go out until my husband comes back. You know, so those things, first of all, are the things that have to do with the woman and her environment herself to decide to come to the hospital. Then, when they now decide to come to the hospital, there are also possible obstacles, and the obstacles in Nigeria. The roads. Some people live in places where the roads or wherever is inaccessible. You know, especially during rainy season, you can't go anywhere. So whatever it is, you just are in the hands of God. However it turns out, that is it. You can't go to any place. There's no road, there's no available transportation to get you to where you are going. Then some people, even if they want to go, as I said, no money for transport, or the transportation is not even there. Like if you have a problem now in Jos, assuming by 11 p.m., you come out, there are no taxis, there are no vehicles to take you anywhere. So you have to wait until morning, unless you have a car or you have neighbors who have a car.
And in waiting, that can
yes,
become
that's
a problem.
Things like if a woman maybe has a baby and is bleeding, it may not wait till morning. You know, or somebody has a diarrheal disease, can't wait till morning. You know, the person may die before the day breaks. Then finally they come to the hospital, and we know all the problems associated with our hospitals. Of course, you still have to have money to pay when you get to the hospital for the things. And sometimes some hospitals do not even have manpower to do the job. Maybe there are hospitals you go to, especially in the far rural areas, you may have one doctor or no doctor at all. Sometimes you have only community health officers or community health extension workers. That's all you may have. Or sometimes you may go and you won't see anybody. They say, just wait, let's go and look for them. They start looking for them. Then they tell you, oh, the ambulance has no fuel. Then you go look, you know, for fuel to get it going. Then finally, you have a health personnel who will attend to them. There's no light. You need to go to theater. There's no light. There's no functional generator. Or they need blood transfusion. The blood transfusion services are not working. We don't have equipment or chemicals to group and cross-match blood. Stuff like that. So all those things would all contribute to the problems that we have. And we know that we're in this country, we have those problems at all these levels. And that is why the outcome for women is a problem. You know, with all these health challenges.
Well, still talking about the journey, like you made mention of the embryonic development, childhood, menstrual cycle, ovulation and fertilization, implantation, pregnancy, labor and delivery, postpartum, menopause. Like these are all the journey that the uterus or womb goes through. Now, are there complications that people should expect at these stages, or even when complications come, there are things that are actually associated associated with them at this stage? Because I've heard people say, oh, because I'm experiencing menstrual cycle, there's usually this that comes with, or that. So are there complications that come with this journey?
Well, yes, different problems could arise in this journey, and it would be good that people know so that they can seek proper help. Now, at the embryonic stage, that's when the woman or the uterus is still in another uterus, it's still in the mother's womb. There are sometimes some people have abnormalities for various reasons. The genital tract or the reproductive tract may not develop well. So the uterus comes up with different challenges. Some people don't even have a uterus at all. Some, it develops abnormally. And some of these things you may not see until the person now starts trying to get pregnant. Find out that you may not be able to get pregnant, or you are not even menstruating because you don't have a uterus, or when you get pregnant you have miscarriages or premature labor, So that's when many of these things begin to manifest. Then during the adolescent period, the reproductive period, some people, your body, the girl's uterus is preparing to be is maturing to be able to get pregnant. Unfortunately, some people get pregnant too early. They get pregnant too early, and that's also a problem, because we find out that all the complications, or most of the complications of pregnancy, will be worse when people get pregnant when they are too young. People less than 18 years, 14, 13, the complications will be much more in that age group. And there has been found that many of these pregnancies, they are unwanted, they are unplanned. And some of the things that will result in these pregnancies would be, young people taking risky behavior that they take, unprotected sex, multiple sexual partners, all that. And then the issues of rape, yes, forced on them. Sex is forced on them. They didn't plan to have sex, but it's forced, and then they get pregnant. Those are some of the problems that could occur. Then, as the uterus has matured, you have some problems that occur just because the uterus exists. Fibroids. That's another area where there's a lot of misinformation, so many myths associated. So when people have fibroids, first of all, people hide. Some people hide, especially from maybe people from the East and all that. I know that they don't want to talk about it. People have had a patient who came all the way from the East to come here to have surgery for fibroid. And I asked, why do you have to do all that? He says, if they hear that I have fibroid, my chances of getting married will be nil. Because people believe that anybody who has had fibroids will not get pregnant and all that. And that's not true. Because if we check every Nigerian woman now, about 30% of us will have fibroids. It's just that many of us will not have symptoms. A large proportion will not have symptoms, but people have fibroids, and it exists. People get pregnant with fibroids. So it depends on the extent, the size, and the site where the fibroid is that may give you some problems. But if it is taken care of, why not? People will get pregnant, people will have their babies and all that. Then other problems like adenomyosis, where the tissues in the lining of the womb is deposited in the muscle tissues of the womb, so that it looks like fibroid. It may present like fibroid with heavy menstrual bleeding and all that, but it is not fibroid. And when you get in, you will not see the distinct mass of fibroid. You just see the uterus enlarged and swollen like that. And then, yes, it could cause some problems, getting pregnant, the pregnancy staying and all that. These are some challenges. But because people don't know what to do, they will not seek help.
Lack of information.
Yes, then also the problem of infertility. The uterus cannot do its job. Women do not get pregnant. And in Nigeria, about 20 to 30% of our married couples would have infertility because of things like infections, sexually transmitted infections. People develop infections after delivery because the labor was poorly managed and things like that. So people will develop those kind of problems. And unfortunately, people who have these infertility issues, there's a lot of false information. So they won't come to hospital early. Or in some families, the men are blaming the women, and all that. But the truth of it is, about 1/3 of people who can't get pregnant, it may be a problem with the woman. 1/3 a problem with the man, about 1/3 too. Both of them may have problems. And about 10% we really don't know what the problem is. But they need to come to hospital. So for people who have been married and they've been having regular sexual intercourse, that's when we say regular, we mean they're having at least they are having sexual intercourse at least 3 times a week for 1 year, and you don't get pregnant, then you should come to hospital. But if the lady is over 35, we say 6 months, just come, because we're working, we don't have so much time to work with. So then they come to hospital, and then when you come to hospital, they need to stay with the doctor to get to the end of it, and usually within a month or 2, we should be able to tell you what the problem is and advise you on what to do. But the challenge is many women will not stay. They come once, twice, you don't see them again. After a while, they go to another hospital, they stay a little while, you don't see them again. And even when they are told what the problem is, they would not, like, I think a couple of months ago, a patient who had been coming to our clinic, but I hadn't seen her personally. That day I saw her and then got talking with her. She had been infertile for more than 17 years, but she had gone to a number of hospitals. So when I sat with her, I asked questions again. So which hospitals had you gone to? And she told me some of the hospitals she had gone to, and she had seen gynecologists. And then she mentioned that one of our Ogas, gynecologists in this town, had seen her. She couldn't get any better care than that. And I said, so what did they tell you? So she said they told her her tubes were blocked. I said, for goodness sake, why are you coming here? Why are you spending your money, wasting your time? They told you what the problem is, and they told you what you needed to do. She needed an IVF. I said, what you needed to do was to have been gathering money. 17 years, they've told you this thing 17 years ago. By now, if you had had a baby, your baby should be talking of going to university. But we're still running around this same issue. Why? She started crying. Well, I tried to console her, but I said, no, don't do this to yourself. Go try and see how you can gather the money and do what you need to do, because you've wasted so much time. So people waste time because they don't have the information. Then down to getting pregnant, those who now get pregnant. So people have miscarriages. Some of the things can be solved, the problems can be solved, but they won't come. They'll be going to the wrong places, or go to prayer houses, go or take native treatment. After many years, then they finally come to us. Those are some of
I was going to ask about the implication of that decision, because we've seen situations where people resort to self-care or herbal treatment, or those fears of people not knowing the condition, and they decide to just look for somewhere and just hide, and they are just in pain. Just when the situation becomes intense, that's when they decide, like, what are the implications of self-care, like deciding to resort to herbal. They have said there's nothing you can't get result from the hospital. The best place to get result is to resort to herbal treatments and all of that. Maybe
and at the end of the day,
on that.
The problems are more. Sometimes you are just postponing, in quotes, postponing the evil day. You will finally need to come and come to hospital for things that we can help. But if it's something like cancer, like cancer of the womb, we have cancer of the womb, we have cancer of the mouth of the womb, which we call cervical cancer. One of the problems with cancers, and generally with cancers, is that there are a lot of stories out there. People tell you that cancers can't be cured in hospital. People feel that cancer is a death sentence. So once they hear cancer, fear grips their heart, then they run away. They go to seek help in alternative places, native doctors, prayer houses, and all sorts of things. Even in terminals in the market, you hear people with microphone promising you everything. They have computer that will tell you what is wrong with you, which is all a lie. All a lie. Then they'll be shouting, all your problems is caused by staphylococcus. And all of us, or many people, are impressed with the word staphylococcus, and they go and meet them. For goodness sake, staphylococcus, yes, is a microorganism which is found almost on the skin. There's staph. So many of these problems, not staph that's causing the problem. But people don't know that, and they rather believe those people. So for like cancers, by the time they are done with all these people, spent all their money, cancer has spread, something that maybe surgery would have curtailed. It has now probably left the uterus, has spread to the lungs, has spread to the spinal cord, and then you are coming to hospital. And then there they would have even told you that when you come to hospital, you will die. Of course you will die because the condition has spread. You know, but they play on your intelligence, play on your emotions, and then people get carried away with those kind of things. So I think people need, when people have the right information and they're also empowered, because sometimes they feel it's the money. But also this alternative treatment is not cheap. It's not free. You spend money. So by the time you are done and you see that they can't help you, you now come to hospital, money is finished. You don't have any money. Even what they're asking you to do, even tests, you can't even do those tests. How much more the treatment? So it's good to go to hospital early and let the doctor see you, tell you what the problem is and the treatment available, so that you can make informed choice. Don't say this one does not, they say, I've heard some illnesses, they say if you come to hospital, that you just die. I'm like, what kind of story is this? And people believe those things.
That's the reality of the society we live in, and a lot of people attach it to even economic factor. Oh, you want to carry this money and go and spend in the hospital instead of to go and buy food, just go and get some herbs and take. And that, I saw someone how he was seriously combining different herbs, like different leaves in a particular pot, and saying this is what our forefathers lived on, and they survived it. So don't allow all these people in the hospital deceive you. And
but our forefathers had their life expectancy was much shorter than what we have. People died much earlier for different diseases that they didn't know, they didn't understand. So.
Well, back to the journey of the uterus. You highlighted the uterine fibroid and is associated with the reproductive period in the journey. Now, there are so many myths associated with that. In fact, I've even heard how that someone said, oh, it occurs when you've not given birth for a long time. So as a young person, if you are unmarried and you are likely to get fibroid, some will tell you that, oh, there are some spiritual
connotations
and all of that. What actually is the cause? You started talking about it, but on a short note.
Okay.
But I wanted to actually address this issue so that people can have an awareness, can be enlightened about it. It's not something spiritual, because some people have even likened it to spiritual. How can you just be bleeding and just go to this ministry, go to that ministry? And so what is the root cause of this? And then what people just need to know about that?
Basically, the cause of fibroid is not clearly known, but there are certain associations. So when we say associations, we mean that if you have these things, the chances of having fibroid will be higher than the general population. So one of the things is black people. We tend to have fibroids more than white people. So it seems like more of a black person's disease. Then it's also been found to have some genetic connotations. In other words, it seems to run in families. Like if a woman has fibroids, the likelihood her daughters would also be higher. Then, as you said, which is true, for those who are also predisposed to having fibroids, if the uterus is not working, in other words, the uterus is not getting pregnant, the chances of a fibroid growing there will be higher than somebody where the uterus has been working.
Okay, there are people that say that, okay, even if you have given birth, maybe a first, second child, and then there's a long space, you're likely to also get fibroid.
So once your uterus isn't working, the chances of having a fibroid is higher. Yes, but it's not due to some of the things. There was a video that was trending like 3 or 4 weeks ago. A pastor was preaching about fibroids, and I was like, Pastor, won't you stay on your lane? You don't know anything about fibroids.
Really?
And he was saying that fibroids were caused by promiscuity. That is, to use his words, he said it's old as showers. That's how. Those were his words. I don't know whether you saw the video. Yeah, that have fibroids because they've been sleeping around, and so when the sperm meets this other sperm, many sperm mix together, it will cause fibroid. And then that's why when you see fibroid comes out, you see that it's breathing like a baby. He apparently has never seen a fibroid. But people will go home with that. And then maybe if your sister or your wife has fibroid, you will now say she's sleeping around because it's a shower according to him, because that's what the pastor said. And that's a big fat lie. And people were responding to that video. Many people were upset that, look, pastor, stay on your lane. You don't know anything about medicine and all that. So there are, you know, some of these things cause problem for people. So people need to have the right information so that they have make the right health decisions.
So what are some of the symptoms that people can experience?
Fibroid, one of the most common, as I said, presentations of fibroid. Most people with fibroids will have no symptoms, as I said.
Okay.
Most people will have no symptoms. But for those who have symptoms, the most common symptom will be bleeding, heavy menstrual loss. You know, you maybe before you were using one packet of sanitary towels throughout your menstrual period. Now you use 2, 3. And then when you bleed, instead of the blood just coming out, it comes out in clots. It's, for some people, it so soaks their pad, it soaks their clothes. You know, it's quite embarrassing when they, so some people, they don't even go out when they are menstruating because of that. Then for some people, there may be associated pain. And then some, when you touch your abdomen, you feel the mass. Then some, it also causes pressure symptoms. It may have, because the bladder is in front of the uterus, if it grows that way, it could cause you to want to be urinating more frequently than before. And then for some people too, it could also cause them to have constipation. And for some, it could also cause swelling of the legs, because if it affects the venous drainage of the legs, that means blood coming back, or you know, trying to make it simple for people to understand, is obstructed. So blood flow, lymphatic flow is not as free as it should be, because the uterus has fibroid which is obstructing it. So it would cause that.
Okay. I would like us to look at factors, if they are, that affect the uterine function. But before then, we'll just go on a quick break so that when we come back, our audience can actually call and then ask their questions, or better still, contribute to the conversation.
Okay.
At this point, we're going on a short break. When we return, the conversation continues. Stay with us. Democracy is the theory that common people know what they want and deserve to get it good and hard. Join me every Friday, 7 p.m. on National Talk for analysis as well as in-depth perspective on issues as they unfold in and around Nigeria, as well as an opportunity to add your voice. You're just joining us, you're on to National Talk on ECWA Television International. We have been discussing the odyssey of the Nigerian uterus alongside Professor Ngozi Ocheke. Hope I pronounced that name. Yes. I was really careful about it.
Oh, yes. Yes.
You have been doing justice to the topic, the odyssey, which was your presentation, and I was happy to be there. Like I said earlier on, it created like an enlightenment, something we didn't see in that angle, because there are a lot of myths that are going on, like in the society, as regards the uterus and some of the factors, the stages, some of the things that come with the stages. And quickly, before we talk about the factors that affect the function of the uterine, like, there are people that have lost their relationships because they have fibroid. They have been diagnosed of fibroid. And I was in a meeting where someone said, oh, she was told by a doctor that every woman has fibroid, or there's definitely a stage that you get to and then you'll be diagnosed of fibroid. So is that true that every woman, because it's becoming like a known, even among the uneducated, everybody can easily relate to the case of fibroid. You know somebody that knows somebody that has fibroid.
Because everybody is scared of fibroids.
So for those people that have lost their relationship because they feel once you say, oh, this lady that I'm about to get married to has fibroid, and people will say, she will not give birth, the womb is damaged already. Like, what do you have to say to people like that?
Well, I'll start with, first of all, to debunk the fact that every woman has fibroid or will have fibroid at some stage in their lives. As I said earlier, maybe one third of women would have fibroids. A large proportion of them will not have symptoms, but not every woman would have fibroids. Let's get that aside. Then about calling off relationships because people have fibroids. I think that's a very unfair decision to take. As I said, people have gotten pregnant even with fibroids there. Sometimes it's when we go to do cesarean sections, we see that the woman has fibroids, or she develops some pain during pregnancy, because sometimes one of the complications of fibroid is that when the woman is pregnant, she would have some pain, something we call red degeneration. So she would have some pain, and then we realize that, oh, this woman has fibroid, but she's gotten pregnant. And I know quite a number of people who've had pregnancies with fibroids. Some, because the fibroids are giving symptoms, we've done surgery to remove the fibroids, and they've gotten pregnant. So this notion that if a girl has fibroids, her womb is damaged and she will not get pregnant again, I think that's not true. You know, that's not true. So if you are worried, you are not sure, talk with the doctor, talk with your doctor, and let your doctor tell you really what's at stake, so that the woman will not get pregnant because she has fibroids. No, that's not true. There may be other issues she has, but definitely not just because of fibroids.
That's a great one. I
because
think
we can treat it. So if she treat it, she's good to go.
She's good to go in case you're scared. Let's talk about the challenges that affect the uterine function. Still talking about the journey of the Nigerian uterus. What are some of the factors that affects the function of the uterus?
Okay, we'll talk about, let's look at pregnancy-related issues. Some problems women have when they are pregnant, when the uterus is carrying out its functions. At the beginning of the pregnancy, we had talked about the issues that people could lose pregnancies, they have miscarriages. And things that cause miscarriages can range from diabetes mellitus to hypertension to infections. Even when these miscarriages don't occur, maybe the pregnancy continues, a woman, diabetes mellitus could cause a baby to die in utero, that's inside. It doesn't make sense carrying a pregnancy for 9 months or thereabout, and then you lose the baby. It's very painful. So for those who are diabetic, we desire that their diabetes is properly controlled before they embark on a pregnancy. Okay. But if they happen to get pregnant, we want that diabetes to be picked up early, treated early. Because one of the other challenges with diabetes is that the baby could have some congenital abnormalities, which we don't want. So we want diabetes picked early, treated early, or the blood sugar normalized before the woman starts pregnant. But if she doesn't, let's treat early so that those complications do not occur, and then she doesn't lose the pregnancy. Then raised blood pressure. It can just be hypertension alone, or something we call preeclampsia. Preeclampsia, there's hypertension and there's protein in the urine. That occurs only in pregnant women. You know, or for some people, it gets so bad they now convulse, which we now call eclampsia. If they haven't convulsed, it's called preeclampsia. And that also can cause women to lose pregnancies, baby die, and not just baby, even the women themselves. The same for diabetes too. The complications of diabetes could also become more for the woman, including loss of vision, eye problems, and stuff like that. Then for hypertension, it could also affect the mother. She could, as you said, she could convulse, she could have a stroke, she could also lose her vision, she could have kidney problems, you know, and all that. So these are things. So we'd want people to, that's why we ask women to book early for antenatal. But you know, our women, we don't like to book early until the pregnancy is showing, so that enemies will not attack your baby. Enemies will not attack your baby. So we really encourage people to book early. And when we say early, once you miss your period or miss twice, 2 periods, please just come and book for antenatal. People say, oh, it's too early, but that's how you can benefit maximally from antenatal care. You are screened properly. If there are any problems, they'll pick it up and advise you accordingly, instead of waiting till problems occur before you come. And especially for people who, you are a Christian, for goodness sake, how will evil eye attack your baby? Is it that evil eye or the devil is stronger than Jesus? I don't understand. So you should be confident. Why people, what they do, even once they miss a period, they've gone for scan, they've sent a picture to everybody, say our baby is coming, we are pregnant. Just 6 weeks, so everybody has heard they are pregnant. But we wait. Even when you suspect somebody is pregnant, you are like, it's like, say no, I'm not pregnant. Where I'm not pregnant. Or until it's showing, then they will come for antenatal. And that's not good enough.
I know a woman that said it's malaria, it's typhoid.
You see, people keep hiding because they feel that evil people will attack them. But I don't think that's the Christian mindset. Anyway, so people should book early for antenatal. Then other problems, infections like HIV, we know, malaria, hepatitis B. Please, since we are talking about hepatitis B, I hope everybody has taken their vaccination for hepatitis B. Please go and screen and then take vaccination if you are negative. If you are positive, you need to see a doctor. Because one of the problems with hepatitis B is that it causes liver problems, including liver cancer. And liver cancer is a problem on the plateau. So anybody on the plateau should be immunized for at least hepatitis B. There's the vaccines are available, even at the EPID unit. Screen and go, and it's available in Jude, it's available in Plateau Hospital. So screen and get the vaccine, because when you combine that hepatitis B with the plenty alcohol we drink on the plateau, it's a very terrible combination. And that's one of the reasons why we have high incidence of liver cancer here. So please, everybody, go take your immunizations for hepatitis B.
Health
so these are some of the
wealth.
things that cause the problem. Then bleeding in pregnancy, then labor problems, obstructed labor. That's why people shouldn't deliver at home. And you should be delivered by skilled people, skilled doctors, qualified midwives. Don't do at home, especially for those who feel they have experience. I'm an expert.
Hebrew woman.
I've had 2 children. God has promised me that I will deliver like Hebrew women, then you deliver at home. Many things can go wrong. You know, your labor can obstruct, and you can rupture your uterus. Some people, after delivery, they can begin to bleed. Before you get yourself together to come to the hospital, some people, before they reach the hospital, they are dead. Because they decided, for whatever reason, to deliver at home. Please, deliver in a hospital. There's nobody that is an expert in delivery. Anything can go wrong during a delivery. And it is good that when it is happening, if a problem arises, you have people who would help you and take care of it. Then one other problem after delivery that women also would have: psychological, psychiatric issues, depression. We call them the mild one initially is postpartum blues. You just feel down, out, weepy, crying, and people are wondering, why is she crying? She just had a baby. But these are some of the problems, and it's worse for people who do not have a support system. You know, especially your husband is not giving you support. You have a child with a problem that probably needed more admission, or you also may have developed some problems. Or for some people, they have a sex of a baby they didn't want. People want baby boys in an environment, and then you've had 6 girls, you now had the 7th girl. The likelihood that you're going to be depressed is very high. So we need to look out for it. And if you see your person, you know, who's just had a baby, behaving in quotes one kind you don't understand, please let her come to hospital. There's nothing wrong in seeing a psychiatrist. And sometimes just counseling will solve the problem. Some people may need drugs, but they will get better, and it will be better for everybody.
I kept hearing you emphasizing, come to the hospital, come to the hospital, come to the hospital. We're in a time where people would tell you, oh, Nigerians are in pain.
Yeah,
We are suffering. The times are hard. People can barely feed, talk more of accessing healthcare facility. And as we speak, the resident doctors are on strike. I was going to ask the question about how can the government come in? Because, okay, I have a relative that had a health challenge and then was booked for Tuesday to the operation take place on Wednesday. And the strike started. And this is a health condition that needs immediate care. Now, for people that cannot access private hospital, maybe she could access private hospital. Now, there are people that will tell you, I don't have what it takes to actually access private hospital. How can the government come? Because we're talking about the odyssey of the Nigerian uterus, talking about the bumps, the potholes, the accidents. If our road networks are good, we won't be talking about potholes, we won't be talking about accidents and all of that. How can the government come in? We just heard of the strike. There are also issues of hike in even school fees, even though Daily Alake, the special advisor on special duties, communication and strategy, came out to say, oh, we didn't increase school fees. It has always been tuition fee free. And what was increased was just some charges. And I said the charges are for what? You have to pay the charges to have access to the education. So it means there's actually increments.
There's increment. It may not be tuition, but
yes,
there's increment in
other charges. So what's the fate of the common man looking at the place of the government? And
I think the issue of healthcare, government is pivotal to it. So the things I talked about, from the problem of lack of education, when women
I think we have a caller. Third call. Hello, good evening.
Hey, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
Hi, sir.
Fine, thank you. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Bauchi.
Okay, what's the name?
My name is Betty.
All right, please go on with your contribution or question.
Yeah, I want to know if hepatitis B is curable.
Can you move from your TV and ask that question?
I say if hepatitis B is curable.
Okay, all right. I think yes. I would say yes. I would say yes. There are drugs that they will recommend for you that would bring down the viral load, and so that you don't develop those complications that will arise from hepatitis B. But you need to seek proper care for hepatitis B. It's not these people who advertise on TV and radio and tell you that they will give you drugs and everything will go and all
Cure
that.
100 years.
Yes, please. That is not what I'm saying. You need to go to hospital to see the professionals who will screen you. There are certain tests they will do to decide whether you need treatment or just follow up. So you need to go to hospital if you have hepatitis B, so that they will give you proper advice and you'll be able to do well in the long term.
All right, talking about
now, still talking about government. So government is pivotal. So when we start from the decision to seek healthcare, education, empowerment are all part of it. Public enlightenment, and that is government. It's government who will make arrangements to make sure that everybody is educated, including the girl child. It's government who is also responsible to make sure it empowers its citizens, that we are not impoverished. Poverty, and Nigerians almost is looking like 40% of us are living below poverty line, and it's getting worse. So this is government responsibility. So all those things that make people or affect decision to come to hospital to seek care is government. Then when they now decide to seek care, the barriers to getting care, bad roads, unaffordable health care, it still lies on governance. It's government who should make these things available for us. Good roads, and I keep saying, having good roads is not, I don't know, people make it seem as if government... I can
hear them talking about the in the television. Hello?
Can you move from your TV and then make your contribution?
Hello?
Maybe you have to call us back. Please, when you... Please go on.
So, access to healthcare government is also responsible. So as I said, I don't know why people celebrate that government built roads. It's their responsibility to us. And Nigerians need to understand that, look, governance, good governance is not a privilege. It's a right. Government owes us good governance. And for people who come out to seek electoral positions, we didn't beg you. You are the one who said you have been moved, or according to some people, their people said they should come and help, whether it's true or false. So you've decided to come out. So come and do the job. But you come and behaving as if you are doing us a favor. So when you build one small road, you will call everybody to come as if building road is a special thing. It's our right. You should do it for us. And we too should stop celebrating nonsense. Yes. Why do you celebrate that people build roads, people repaired here, people build schools? Why are we celebrating it? It's it's their job. It's like a child coming to do Thanksgiving in church that his father paid his school fees. Won't people laugh? People will laugh like, this is ridiculous. It's a father's responsibility to pay his child's school fees. But that's what we're doing. We're celebrating what is our right.
Really
then when the patient finally arrives at hospital.
Professor, for what you're saying. But I have just one question to ask.
Please go on.
What are really the causes of fibroids?
Okay.
The real causes of fibroids.
All right.
And after, the second question is, how many chances that a woman that has had fibroids can she conceive? Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for that question.
Okay. We are not sure, as we said earlier, the cause of fibroid is not clear. We are not sure what causes it, but we know that there are risk factors. We had said earlier, genetics, not getting pregnant, the uterus not doing its job of pregnancy. Once a uterus is not doing what it's supposed to do, a woman who has a genetic predisposition to having fibroids is more likely to have fibroids. And fibroids is also more common among black people. Then she asked whether if people have fibroids, they can have babies. You can get pregnant with fibroids. Many people are pregnant with fibroids. And if the fibroid is preventing the woman from getting pregnant, if the fibroid is removed, she should be able to get pregnant. So that's it.
Question answered.
Now back to government issues. So government is also responsible for giving us hospitals. Not just hospitals, but hospitals that are accessible and affordable. Sometimes hospitals are sited in places where nobody can get to, or the people there do not need it. You know, like in my husband's village, I think they had problems about where to site hospital. So they decided to site it halfway between his village and the next village. And that's in the middle of nowhere. So nobody goes there. So it's rats and cockroaches and lizards that have infiltrated the place because it's not close to anybody. So hospitals should be sited where the people are. And then affordability of healthcare. That's why this health insurance matter must be addressed, because many people pay out of pocket. And it's becoming more and more difficult for people to pay out of pocket, especially with the economic realities that are facing us.
I just want to appreciate the comments. In fact, their talks for today, their national talk for today. In fact, it is my first time of hearing this, and I appreciate it. So I want to encourage them by repeating this kind of talks, because it's what has been affecting most of the women today in this country. Because some of them are ignorant of what is going on. And this has been a problem to them today in this our country. So we have been suffering. So in fact, I believe that you guys should encourage this thing. We should come up again and talk more about this thing, so that most of our women will, in fact, have the knowledge of this very talks, so that they will earlier go to the hospital in order to receive their treatment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. We really appreciate that contribution.
So now back to the hospitals. So citing hospitals where they will be useful to people, properly equipping hospitals, because it's not enough to just have a building. Then when a patient comes, they say do blood test. Not available. They have to go to a private lab. This is the drug we want for you. Oh, we don't have it in stock. They have to go and buy outside. Oh, we need to do surgery for you. Oh, there are no drapes, no light, no this and no that. We can't do the surgery for you. Then also employ qualified personnel to man the hospitals. It's not just enough to build hospitals, but have personnel who will man the hospitals and give them a conducive working environment to work. Many Nigerians want to work, but what they need to work is not available. So people are frustrated. Have been trained to do this kind of work, to be a doctor, to help people. Maybe that was my dream as a child and all that. And then I come, there's nothing available. Every day we come, nothing there. You see patients, or you do we can't do surgeries, we don't have drugs, we can't do tests, we can't transfuse blood, we can't, all the problems in the hospitals. And all this lies on governance. And this is one of the reasons why young people are leaving this country in droves. It's not even just young people. Everybody is leaving this country in droves. Health workers, those who can, nurses, doctors, lab scientists, everybody who can is leaving. And it's because for some is that the working environment is not conducive. Somebody told me that I want to practice medicine properly. And I can't practice medicine the way I want to practice it, with the way things are. Then for some, the pay is not what it, their counterparts in different countries are being paid better. So if UK and other countries, Saudi Arabia, those are the common places that people are going to, are offering better pay, people would go, and those people will continue to offer positions to our doctors and health workers.
They're getting best service.
Because it's cheaper for them. Training a doctor is so expensive. And it's cheaper.
I want to ask a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir, I want to ask a question. Hello?
Go ahead, we're listening.
I want to know what is the purpose of CS?
Can you repeat that question again?
I said the cause. What is the cause of CS?
CS. Okay, cesarean section.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, talking about cesarean section. Or we should finish the government one.
You can respond to him.
Okay, cesarean section. Now, cesarean section is surgery we do for a woman whose pregnancy is advanced. You make a cut on the uterus, on the abdomen, and on the uterus to deliver a baby, the placenta, and the membranes associated with it. And we do cesarean sections because that will be the safest way for either the mother or the baby, or for both of them, depending on the condition that they have. And there are several reasons why we do cesarean sections. One of the most common reasons why we do cesarean sections is women who have had 2 cesarean sections. Once you have had 2 cesarean sections, we don't want you to do labor again. Because the risks, because you know, we also do risk analysis. The risk for having a uterine rupture, that's your uterus will burst and you bleed and maybe die, is too high to allow you to do labor yourself. So we usually would advise for them to have a cesarean section. Then other problems, we look at problems of the mother. From having raised blood pressure, where the baby is being affected, and you need to deliver the woman quickly. And you can see that having a vaginal delivery will not happen very quickly. Cesarean section may be the fastest way to get the baby out. So you do a cesarean section. Then if the labor is obstructed, the labor is going on, then it suddenly cannot progress anymore. You need to get the baby out by cesarean section if you want the baby to come out alive. There are other problems, that something like we call placenta previa. The placenta is supposed to be behind the baby, but in some women, the placenta is in front of the baby. If you allow that person to labor, you're going to have torrential bleeding, and that's not good. So you need to have a cesarean section. Then abruptio placenta, that means placenta is coming out or is separating from the uterus before the baby has come out. And if the baby is alive, it's an emergency. You need to operate and bring out the baby.
Prof, our time is actually fast spent, but I would like you to just in few minutes respond to this. How can the uterine function be improved? And then looking at the journey of the Nigerian uterus, like you spoke about the bombs, the potholes, and the accident, what's the way forward? What can be done?
So, like what we're doing, giving people information, very important. That's one of the things. Then people for women to also access the things that are available to them to help them. For example, for people who are pregnant, as I said earlier, antenatal care. Please go for antenatal care. and go early enough. When it's time to have a baby in a proper place, that is in a proper hospital with properly trained health workers, skilled health workers. When you are offered cesarean section, please accept. We don't do cesarean section because we just want to do cesarean section. It will usually be for your own good or for the good of the baby. Please cooperate with us and let us do the cesarean section. Then also the issue of family planning. People should space pregnancies, you know, so that pregnancies are wanted, pregnancies are planned, you know, so that you can give all you need to give to that pregnancy than for pregnancy in quotes to take you unawares. You don't have money for antenatal, you haven't planned for it, your baby is still small and all that. Family planning, if you space pregnancies, you are healthier, the outcomes will be better. So these are some of the things available for us to help us do pregnancies better.
Thank you so much for this enlightenment. Despite your busy
much.
schedule, but you made out time to speak with us. Thank you so
an
much.
honor
We
and
hope
a
to have you
privilege.
some other time because
Please call me, we'll walk around it.
Thank you
Yes,
so
yes,
much.
yes,
Really
yes, yes.
appreciate you. And to our viewers out there, this is how much we can go on today's edition of National Talk. Until we come your way next week, you have a blessed weekend.